give him praise. Come on, everybody, let's sing for joy. To the Lord our God, let your voice employ. Shout aloud to the rock of our salvation.
He's the foundation of every nation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, 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 welcome. Everybody's here. Hey, Steve. Yes, we're supposed to be in here 2:30. You said you should report this to your people. I think you should report this too, Steve. I think you should report it. I think you should. I think you should. I think you should. So we're here today, family. Thank y'all for coming out, rocking out with us today. So today is going to be a doozy. So I guess I'm going to start off. Hey, yes. And I got a question. And let's go ahead and jump into this because we're supposed to be here 2:30. We're 6 minutes late. We usually start at 2. Sorry for the inconvenience. So let me go ahead and start off with my questions. So what is the family structure that the culture calls oppressive? They call it oppressive, Steve. We oppress people. But what if I told you that this produces the happiest marriages, the healthiest children? Culture says traditional gender roles harm the family. But what I can tell you is our data tells us a completely different story. From childhood development to marriage satisfaction to economic stability, conventional family arrangements consistently. The traditional family every time consistently, Steve, outperform the modern alternatives that they say we need. So today we want to examine a question that challenged the modern society. And this question was brought to us by Miss Allure Jackson herself. What happens if we return to the traditional family structure? And what do we mean by that? We mean fathers work and mothers focus on home and children. So we've analyzed the economic implications and how such changes might affect social programs and how this will upset various social movements. So I'm going to be honest, Yasmin, today this is not about mandating choices, but understanding consequences and exploring God's design for families alongside practical realities. So whether you're considering a family structure decision, you're interested in economic policy, or you're seeking a biblical perspective on cultural trends, today provides a thoughtful analysis of complex intersections between faith, family, and economics. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as I always say, let's get into it. Nope. So, why I got signed out? Tell the world my business. Oh, I didn't single you out. Don't do that. Don't be like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're here today. How is everybody doing? I don't want any new jobs. Send jobs to somebody else. So we're here. We're live. And men work, women raise kids. Why does oppressive system actually work? Who made you late? No comment. No, we were supposed to have been late today anyway. And then the system started acting up because my wife had something to do. So we pushed it back anyway. But the system began to act up. So, but I'm here now, live and in color. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So now, Steve, should we as men, should we just all go back to work? Should we take over all the jobs? Should we you know, should we, capitalize off and take things back the way that they used to be? That's my question. Now, I do have some stats. I do have some statistics. I did run some numbers late last night. Let me pull up my let me pull them up, so when we ready to get to them, we can I don't understand why you always do that. Oh, there we go. We can really get to it, and we can really dive deep into it. I think it's gonna be a doozy, and I think that what I found in what is being said will actually pretty much shock you today. Steve said, if it was simple, yes. What does the Lord write about? He wouldn't be your father if he didn't. No, I would be. I don't know. You should text her. So it said, if it was that simple, why you don't think that men can go back and take over? What would stop us from doing such a thing? What would stop us in America? I don't want to speak about no other place, even though I do have some statistics about other places. But what would stop us as Americans, as men, from returning to traditional values? What will hinder that? What will be the root cause that will stop men from really returning back to traditional values? He said, when I drove a taxi and limo, I worked 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. So what will... Now, I don't necessarily mean that you have to go back and kill yourself, but my question becomes, what will stop us as men from turning the world upside down to go back to traditional? I also have Miss Allure Jackson here with us today. Hi, Allure.
Hi.
So Allure is here with us today, and this was a question that she brought up the other day, and I was like, I think that would be a great question for the show.
I'm so great with questions.
I also believe that traditional is subjective. Are we looking at during the time before or after the Industrial Revolution? You're absolutely correct. So
That's why I asked.
So my thing becomes, what are you still on? Oh, you're still paused. So my question becomes, okay, traditional. How about we just go back to the basic question: men work and women being at home. Now, Steve says lazy men depending more on the woman and the woman depending on man.
I can agree with that.
But I found something to be interesting in my research, though, that I'm going to get into. But I kind of just really want to hear from everybody and hear how they feeling. Is this Paul's picture the picture you want me to put up as you speak, or no?
Yes, I would love for you to show me the way that I am right now
Let
because
me,
I'm not gonna cut on my camera.
okay. So let me show you. That's what you look like right now. I don't know if you want that
I
to
don't
be
want.
shown. It's oh, my bad.
I assumed you couldn't see, like I don't have anything there.
Yeah, no. Like you got this blank
Oh,
picture.
no, that means that your screen is weird, but it's fine. Don't just. I can just be a voice.
You can just be a voice.
Yeah, I'm okay with just being a voice.
Got you. Not a
I
problem.
do want to say though, if we're thinking of traditional manhood and traditional womanhood, that would usually be part of a conversation in which goes deeper than just male and woman working, non-working.
So
Because traditional men would be like, you have to pay the bills, you have to support a wife and support children, all on your own.
okay.
And depending on the type of wife that you have, depending on how many children you have, depending on the situation, that's not always plausible, economically wise. Some
Okay.
people spend more money than they make. A lot of people spend more money than they make. So it's really you would have to drastically change the economic relationship between money and families for every individual in
You're
order for
abs-
that to work.
you're absolutely correct. And that's also what I found. What I also found, I found a couple of things. I found that because I also did an analysis based upon men returning to the workforce at the current rate pay of jobs that women have. Are you sure the voice is not AI? No, it's not. I think they can't hear you because Steve thinks that you're AI. This is why I was like, maybe you want to come off the video so people can see you really quickly. But at the same time, I also did it based upon what would happen if men return to work, what would really take place. I also did something on the gap, the gender pay disparity, which
I don't think that that's true. I
I,
think women get paid like a couple cents more than men for
I,
the same job with the same degree.
we're gonna go into that, and actually, that is not true. Women actually make more money than men with the same degree and in the same field.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said.
Yeah. So, and overall, women make at least between 1 to 5 cents less than men in any other. Also, it's statistically shown that women tend to women are tend to be drawn more to nurturing jobs like nursing, teaching, social work than men are. Men are typically drawn, hi Desney, men are typically drawn to engineering, civil engineering, things like that, more higher paying jobs. But I but
Ooh,
I
I
want
like Disney's comment
Desney said,
on
I don't mind tradition, but where does God's will for both men and women fit in traditional values? Not everyone gets into their purpose out of the gate. American traditional values kicks men out of the home at 18. So, number one, original traditional values did not kick men out of the house at 18. And I don't think that we're homing this into American traditional value. We're talking about the way God traditionally saw where men were and where women should be. And when you're looking at the way God built the traditional value, it doesn't takes away from God's will, as he pointed out. And it also allows everyone to truly vamp into their purpose as he designed. And we're going to get into all of these because these are great questions. These are great points. And I'm going to blow through these as we go through it. So have your pen, your pad, put your questions out here, and we're going to make this happen. So I looked at it from a standpoint of we just do this overnight. One day it's like, hey, all the men got to go to work, all the women are going to revert back to being at the house. My question to you, remember, Laura, was how does this affect us economically? How are we affected? How is the economy affected? I went into how the economy is affected. I went into how households will be affected. I went into how children would be affected. Also, in my research, I went into how would this switch either hurt or help children in schools? How will it affect crime? How would the statistics be on early childhood deaths, murders, gangs? And it's something that I found out to be very interesting, especially when it comes to fatherless homes and the suicide rate. So I went deep into this. I didn't just say, hey, what if we just wake up one day and all the men go back to work and all the women stay at home? So I wanted to see how this would affect everything, how it would affect the laws, how legislation would be affected, how governance would change, or would governance change. And I also based it on and when I was looking forward, I also looked Desney, because Desney made a great point. I looked at this also from a perspective of not just godly men, because remember yesterday, Allure, we was talking also about just men in general having principles. Like real masculine men have principles, they have boundaries, they have rules. So not only just godly men stepping in, but also those men who are in the secular space who has rules and regulations. I think he is doing the show from the stance of the case where there is no option. But I agree women should have an option, and thank God we do. Now, I'm not doing this from that women don't have an option.
Oh, I could have sworn that's what we were talking about this morning.
Well, this morning we were talking about women that it not being an option, but I wouldn't rule out the option of women working. But if we want to, but I still wanted to see what it will look like if there
wasn't an option. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the conversation right now would be, there's no option. Men have to work. Women have to raise the children. Would the system work?
Right.
That's how we're having the conversation right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Got you. Yeah. So I want to jump into here real quick. So, I asked these questions. How would it affect men marrying women before? And also, this is part of the tradition. Actually, so I can still see the comments. Let me just pull this up on my phone. I'm going to pull this up on my phone so I can be able to see the comments on the screen while I still have my notes. So I'm going to pull my notes up on the phone. Also in this tradition, ladies, Mrs. Peart, this is one of the stipulations that I had put in while doing the research. That stipulation was that that there will be marriage before there will be children.
Okay.
So that was one of my stipulations. So Desney, that was also one of my stipulations. Yasmin, that was also one of my stipulations, was that the family, the family dynamic of husband and wife had to be built first before children can be involved.
Okay.
He said, can you define the ideal tradition fully? Give good rundown on the best or ideal situation. No, you haven't missed it. We're just getting started. We're just getting started.
So are you going to give your ideal first and then I give mine of your system that you've created, or how would you like to do this?
We can just go back and forth.
Okay.
So one of the first things that it came out with, I started off with, was the economic impact. How would this impact us economically? I think Miss Jackson should have a seat every week. Love you, Pastor Q. You have been voted in by Stevie Steve. Allure.
Oh, yikes.
So
economically, I think our country, since we're only focused on the United States, would crash. It would crash for at least 4 years. Because women make up, not only do we make up the bulk of consumers, but we do make up the bulk of debt. So all women being like, no, you have to go back home, which means your job. Where would that leave your credit cards? Where would that leave your financial debt situation? Where would that leave everything that you have? It would then have to fall on your husband. So now if, let's just say your husband's only making $60,000 a year, that might be good in order to help a family of four, but it won't be good for a family of four with $400,000 worth of debt. So I think that people would file for bankruptcy. It would definitely be a drastic economic change for a long time. Now, let's say this is like a law now and we have to follow that. I do believe that subsequently, after a while, it will have to mellow itself out. People would file for bankruptcy. People would get themselves together. Some people won't even have debt. So I think economically we would be in a drastic situation.
Okay. And Mama Charlie says she agreed that the economy wouldn't bear the shift. So now here's two sides to that coin from what I did yesterday. So the economic impact, it would be the shrinkage of, they did this based on the fact of women leaving the workforce. So they said there would be a shrinkage of the labor force. Women currently make up 47% of the U.S. labor force. Removing that much productivity would shrink the GDP significantly. Sectors like healthcare, education, retail, and administration are heavily female-driven. These industries would be crippled, resulting in labor shortages. It said then the burden, as you mentioned, of sole financial responsibility would shift back to men. Wages would likely increase due to labor shortages, but not enough to maintain the living standard. Low-income men would suffer most, unable to support a family on one paycheck without relying on subsidies. Two-income household consumerism. Millions of women will leave the workforce. How come the household income will drop? But this was what I went back to add to the prompt itself so it can understand where I'm going. We're not just looking for women to leave. We're looking for men to replace the women in the positions that they have. Sorry to keep your customer waiting. Thank you, Stevie Steve.
Do you think that men would want to fill those roles?
So
I know obviously a lot of men would have to,
right?
Clearly.
So this is what.
However, I am uncertain that those roles would be put together to the best of their abilities. Because don't get me wrong, I think I've had great male teachers in my life. They've made great impacts. I've had great male nurses. I had a male doctor. He was good to look at. But other than that, a lot of the emotional support that I got from my teachers that I needed during those time of needs were my female teachers. That extra help was from my female teachers.
Right.
So
I'm gonna get into that. So I'm glad you brought that up because I'm
I'm a
gonna
little
get into that.
puzzled.
So, male employment will increase drastically if we come straight in. Not all men are trained or inclined to fit traditional female dominant roles. So it said there would be mismatches because 70% of K through 12 teachers are women. Replacing them with men will require retraining. Healthcare would be the same. Nursing and caregiving is often related to incentives of faith or cultural, right? Then also the admin and HR sector. Also, what it shows is that men entering at low paying sectors in mass, these fields might be forced to raise wages. Now, what it also showed was if men ran directly into work, women are at home, you would see there will be fewer single parent households and reduced reliance on welfare. So it will also balance out in what we spend on social economics. So I asked, what is the ratio of males to female in female dominant industries? Education, 10% men to 90% women. There is in nursing is 87% women, 13% men. Childcare workers, 94% women, 6% men. HR specialists and managers is 73% women, 27% men. Social work is 83% women, 17% men. Secretaries is 94 to 6. Then you have cosmetology and hair, which is 90 to 10. Dietitians, nutritionists is women 82%, men 18%.
So here's my question. Because I could finally ask you my questions via this conversation in real time. Where would that leave certifications and qualifications? Because teachers need master's degrees, which means people would have to go back to school. Nurses need certifications. CNAs need certifications. Most HR departments require some type of certification or whatnot.
Right.
So where would that lead our academic
So academically,
section?
I think that we should still, I don't think that we should ease up off certifications. Also, to be quite honest, this would also have to be an ease, if that makes sense. So like you said, give or take 4 years. So we can give or take 4 years to make that initial process and change. It's something that is said that I found to be very interesting. I said, what shift could happen to masculinity, identity, and value if men went into this? Desney said some industries were created because women left the home and needed to make money. You're absolutely correct. If men were to enter traditional female dominant fields in large numbers, we would see a shift. We'll experience a deep identity level shift, how masculinity, personal value, and how this would work. So men would be forced to detach from their manhood from traditional concepts like physical labor, breadwinning, and assertive leadership roles. We will have to be able to take on caretaking, emotional labor, and nurturing and empathy will become part of the masculine identity, the same part that Christ has. So Christ also has a nurturing, a empathy, a mercy, the things that we're not taught to have as men. So a lot of the things that we're not taught to have as men, Christ bore those things here on the planet. Feels like nursing, teaching, and childcare will help us produce. These will help us produce soft skills that society often mislabel as femininity. Men entering certain spaces would have reconciled strength with sensitivity. Now, as a result, you will have men who would begin to lead with kindness, provide presence, and protect through wisdom and not just physical dominance. So everything wouldn't be violent to us because we would have to begin to look, we will have to begin to change how we approach certain things. We will have to begin to change how we address certain issues, because because even when I was asking, I was not trying to remove women completely out of society. I was not trying to remove women out of the schools. I was not trying to remove women out of areas that y'all can still benefit and help. I was just making the observation of, hey, this is where we can be. Because my question really at the end of the day, if men were to do these things and we were to go back into teaching, into nursing, into caregiving in places, how does that strengthen our masculinity? How does that strengthen us and our character to be more Christ-like? Because now masculinity, where it is, just to be a man, sometimes people would deem us to be toxic, and that is not necessarily true. But this is because this is what we have been taught, that this is what a man does, this is what a man looks like. But also, as a father of daughters, there is a side that you have to be able to bring out. I tell men all the time, if you never had your heart broke, and if you've never been broken, have a daughter. A daughter will humble you faster than the son.
Amen.
A daughter will humble you and break you faster than the son. Because your son is going to be like, oh, it's a man. We got to walk. We got to sling our thing. You know what I mean? But a girl would make you be like, oh, I have to bring some type of nurture, mercy, compassion. So it will allow men in certain fields and areas to look at the biblical masculinity. And this is just another perspective to reclaim these soft roles. Jesus washed feet. He blessed children. He healed the sick. Joseph, the earthly father of Jesus, protected and nurtured a young family, not just through work, but through obedience and emotional maturity. Masculinity becomes about responsibility, presence, and submission to God's design, not our cultural expectations. Men going back in, number two, our identity, our initial worth versus external function would be, we would go from provider to participant. So now men traditionally, we grab our identity from what they do, but going into these positions and these professions shifts our identity from function to presence. So now it's who you are, not just what you do. So now we will become more in the sense of we're present. We will become more sense of we have the capability of love. We now have the more capability, cut the camera on, the capability of walking in. So this threatens men who've been taught, if I'm not making money or building something big, I have no worth. So also for men to be able to come back in and take over these roles, it gives them a deeper sense of identity through contribution, care, and through services. Men who don't thrive in high achieving roles like STEM, finance, and leadership may find validations in roles like teaching, art therapy, or caregiving. The shift frees many men from feeling less than simply because they are not alphas. It also gives a more balanced male identity that includes both contemperance, compassion, logic, and love. We will also be able to have a inherent value as men.
A inherit value.
Inherit.
What's the word?
Inherit.
Oh.
It's all right. Carry on.
Most care-oriented professions
Hey.
are underpaid
No.
and undervalued. So this is another thing. It says if men go back into certain things like teaching, healthcare, nursing, caregiving, a lot of these positions are underpaid and undervalued. But if a man goes into these fields, people will start paying more attention to them because men are there. And unfortunately, this has been statistically proven true. That because
I have a
men,
question.
yes,
Hey y'all.
So, hi, Mama. We missed you. So with men going into these roles and men feeling these values, do you think, and this is just solely based off of me having to do schoolwork and things like that, do you think it could potentially lower the risk of domestic violence in the home?
so a couple of things.
I know you can't give an exact answer because we don't know what causes it, but do
Men
you
are
think
too abusive when they were the one.
I you see, and that's why I'm asking the question that I asked. I agree with Anita. There was a point in time where some men are abusive.
Right.
And I'm reading about it in school. There were also women that were abusive as well. However, when it came to the time of women being home strictly,
Right.
abuse was present. So, do you think that all men of all adult men of all ages being able to have some sort of income would allow, and because men would be at home as well, that two-parent household and that income will allow for domestic violence to be diminished? Or do you think that if all women go back home, there is a slight chance that there would be an increase of domestic violence?
Give me 1 second. You want to answer that?
Now he threw you on the spot.
Yeah. I'm trying to process the question. Okay, so do we think that it would be an increase of domestic violence if we went back to the way that it was, with men being the majority bread winner?
Yeah, do you think we'll see an increase or a decrease? Because what he's saying is all men have to work. So this was our rule. It was a law that passed. This was our creative world while you weren't here. A law has been passed. All men have to work. Have to work. So this was our rule. It was a law that passed. This was our creative world while you weren't here. A law has to work. Stay home and raise children.
Oh, definitely. Abuse would definitely rise.
You think it'll come back?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because then men already feel under pressure. We are no longer in the 60s, 70s, 80s. The financial responsibility right now is crazy. It takes two incomes to live now.
It does. So, no, I'm
You
sorry.
gonna
Go
let
ahead.
me-
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So just that part alone would be a lot. And for a man to have to go out, be under that pressure, come back in, and he does not have a escape. He has no other place to put his frustration.
Okay. So, based on how we drew this up,
Okay.
there's a lot of factors and variables that was added to
He didn't give
this.
it a real life scenario.
It was a lot of things. There was a lot of variables that are added to this scenario. A couple of those variables are
Wait. Allure, I thought you said there was not a real life. There was a real life
no.
scenario.
Allure asked this question. So in the scenario, I begin to add things into the scenario to
Make it a fairy tale.
give it some.
Oh no, you can't do that.
No, it wasn't
You
to make
got
it a
it.
fairy tale.
You-
It was
you got it.
it was based on two sides. It was based on just men in general, how men are now, and then there's a side that is based on if godly men return back into the workforce as a whole full, and how would that look as far as us entering sectors and being able to not only just go back into work, but being able to dominate where we are, meaning that we are in everything: police, teaching, the schools, government, nursing, caregiving, but it's a specific type of man that, so you had two. You had the one who was wilding, and then the scenario of what it will look like if godly men entered back into these sectors. How will it affect the economy? How will it affect children? How will it affect the school systems? How will it affect law and legislation? So these were the things that I was looking at and looking for going into this. So do I think that some men would still beat on their women? You have broke dudes now who beat on women. So I can imagine if a law was passed that he had to go to work, he's still gonna do the same thing. My thing becomes, in a situation of that is how many men know he's beating on his wife, and how do we make law pertaining to you beating on your wife? And I'm not talking about legislation law. I'm talking about you live in this community. We hear you beating on your wife next door. We don't do that. This is the warning. We're not moving you out. But what we will do is we will come over here and we will drag you out.
Yeah, but how many are willing to do that?
But that's what I'm saying. So the thing becomes the men that we're trying to produce and the men that we want in society is those. That's why I said,
I love her face towards you.
you love her face towards me.
Yeah.
Put it up on the big screen so y'all can see it. There you go, right there. There are a lot that will do that. You think that I will let Mr. Andy beat on his wife if I can hear that from here? And do
No,
you
but
think that I would do business with Mr. Andy if he beat on his wife?
But you're not everybody. You do realize you're really special.
That's not a good thing.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
It's not.
No.
I don't know if that's a compliment.
You are not the average man.
I don't know if I should take that as a disrespect.
You should put it in your journal later.
You are not the average man. Okay? Let's get that straight. You are not the average man. Okay? And I know many of men who would not, they'll turn their back, but then I know many who would be a part, meaning they would do what you, as far as protecting.
I see what you're saying.
But
Because that's but I don't mean to cut you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
because I still ain't answered the first question, Jackson.
And I got another one. So
Okay, so hold on, Allure, hold on. Because The questions are amazing. Yes, abuse would go up. And it's not just from the guys that are abusing folks now. Because the pressure would be a different pressure. And unless you can give them a different way of handling things and a outlet that they want to be a part of, and have them really deal with what they have going on inside.
Okay, I can see that. But that's why I was telling the Lord, this would not be something that we would just wake up in the morning and be like, hey, new law is all men got to go back to work. All right? And all the women got to stay at home. It will have to be a slow transition. And the reason it's a slow transition, because there are things that men have to deal with. We also, even when I was putting this together, I even mentioned what would be the effect of lazy men and men who don't wanna. How would this affect the feminist movement? How would they feel about this? So, I mean, I put all of these variables in while I'm asking these questions. How would this affect the feminist movement? How would this affect lazy men? How would this affect men with less skill? So it's like now, again, like I was saying, men who don't specialize in STEM or the arts or certain economics and finances, you still can be used in the teaching, in the nursing. And statistically, it shows that when men begin to go into certain female dominant areas, the pay begins to rise because men are coming into that particular sector.
I can see that.
And now, because it now draws more attention to that sector, it's like, oh, well, women are secretaries. That's okay, great. But when men begin to come in and dominate the secretarial role, now it begins to be like, okay, so why is men here? What skill do they bring? How do they change certain things? And then again, like I said earlier before you came in here, a lot of these female dominant areas will begin to place men in you will begin to truly balance real godly masculinity, because you have to be able to build patience, mercy, forgiveness, like all of the things that Christ has, that he did himself. Men, because I understand, oh, he's supposed to be the tough guy, he's supposed to swing, woo, woo, but Christ was a tough guy. But at the same time, he had compassion. He had grace. He had mercy. So when you begin to go in that area, you are not, son. You should be proud of yourself. Oh.
Mama, he is special. And I wasn't being funny. You are special. You're not like, hush up, Lord. You are definitely outside of the average man.
So,
I mean, I wasn't being funny.
So I just think that certain sectors would allow men to truly walk, like we were saying. It'll bring men back to being present, not just dominating. We would begin to, our mood and our shifts would be different. Our thought process can be different.
I could get you to stop saying stuff like, oh, well, how you so horribly was expressing yourself yesterday about women, men acting like women. Yes.
Right.
Then you could really get
because,
your mind right.
Because then we will begin to breed men to be men.
Oh,
and not
Lord.
breed, because
Just
again,
stop. Just stop.
another
I'm saving.
I will. When they stop acting like women, I'll
Oh
stop
my
saying
God.
they acting like women. But
All right.
but it
Okay.
also
But can you answer my
but it
second
also,
question?
but hold on real quick. But it also says that we will begin
I'm still
to
feeling
make
ignored,
better
dude.
households. So what's your next question?
Now, this is the most important question I can ask.
Nope.
Uh, excuse me. Because men are working and women are raising the children. I know a girl with 5 baby daddies. Whose household does she belong to?
So remember in the beginning of the show, I said,
Nope.
"Hey, yes." When I was talking to your sister. Remember I said, "Hey, yes." And remember I addressed Desney because Desney asked a great question in the beginning. I said that this logic and this suggestion would be based on marriage first, baby second. Now, in reality, you do have a woman with 5 baby daddies.
I know.
You got
a
some
girl.
with
She's
a lot
23.
more than 5. She 23.
Carry
That's
on.
none of my business. Let me get back to where I was. So, those men will have to take care of their kids.
But I think Allure's question is, who gets to run the house?
Who gets to run the house?
All 5 of them.
So let me ask this question: If this was to be implemented, that men had to go back in the workforce and a woman like her would have to be at home, then in that scenario, you got 5 different men. 5 different men are not moving in the house with you. So what if she had to give full custody or full legal joint? She has to give what they call it, when you have physical custody, to the father to take care of the child.
So now,
They can go home and visit mama because she got 5 different men. But now the men need to raise and take care of
so
their
how they gonna do
responsibility.
that if they working and she's at home?
Oh, because I'm pretty sure these Negroes got another woman at home.
So
He
now
not-
you're taking them out of the home with their biological mama to put them in a home with this other woman when their mama is at home, because you already done said mama is at home.
So how would this work out for her best?
A great solution.
I'm just throwing things to see what sticks on the wall. I'm not really
I have a
saying
great
take-
solution.
But that's
I'm not-
retarded
no, I'm
to
not,
me.
No, I'm not saying take the kids away. No, I'm joking on that. But if she got 5 kids and she's staying at home, then there needs to make sure that these men are taking care of their kids. That needs to be implemented. Also, in a situation like that, men should have equal rights, equal
Okay.
paternal rights.
So
And
now,
and the reason I say that is because if something happens to the mother, the child needs to go be with the father. And there needs to be more than just. Also, this is something that I have.
Wait, you jumping all over the place.
It's still the same thing. Because this
Okay.
is something that, based on this right here, this is something that I always thought to me makes sense.
Okay, so pause. We always talk about this. Pause.
Right.
Allure, were
That's
you
me.
finished with what you were saying?
no.
Okay. You got to do better. Go ahead, Allure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you. I think the best solution for dealing with, I get your scenario. Your scenario is everyone has to be, obviously they're at home, they're raised by their parents, and then they find a spouse, have a child or whatever. Some people, that's just not their case. And if we're basing it off of the reality world, I think that all these people should live in close proximity to each other.
That's what I was going to say.
Like, I live in a 3-family home. We're on the first floor. Kevin's mom and his sisters are on the second floor. His grandma, his aunt, and cousins are on the third floor. I think baby daddy 1 should be on the top. Baby daddy 2 on the third. And she should be,
At the
I
bottom?
would assume.
In the basement?
I would assume that she would.
You should put
In
her on
my
the
friend's
first
case,
floor.
it's not the. In my friend's case, this is not the case. However, I would hope that you're at least with one of these fathers, and you and that one would obviously be at the bottom.
So,
So your other kids, because the older they are, the more easier it is for them to walk up the steps.
so what if they're stutter step like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 newborn?
Yes, that's my analogy.
So this is, and that's where I was going to go. I believe that one of my theories is this, even when it comes to child support, instead of forcing men to come out of pocket, allow them to truly handle their responsibility. So, prime example, your friend, where she live? She in Connecticut or New York?
Of course, she's not in Connecticut.
She's in New York. She's in the Bronx.
Yes.
Okay. So now I believe that the fathers should be in close proximity. They should be in the same school district. They should be in a place where if the child leaves the school and don't want to go to mama house, they can jump on the school bus and go to daddy's house. That I believe that they should be in the
In New
same.
York, though, the districts are not like that, though.
Yeah,
Because I'm in District 13 on Block 221st, but my best friend, because she's on 222nd, but she's on a different avenue, she's in a different district.
Gotcha.
So that's why you got to live in the same. You have to live on the same block or in the same house.
So
And multifamily homes, you get to pay one mortgage split
True.
between 5 people.
But you have to understand, okay, the reason why I don't agree with the multifamily home situation is because
Because you're not a dreamer.
No, it's not that I'm not a dreamer. Go get your dog. It's not that I'm not a dreamer. It's more so of you don't understand what's the relationship dynamic of the
But that
mother
wouldn't
and the
matter,
fathers.
though.
That's number one.
I barely see my in-laws. Like we have to schedule time to see each other. I've gone weeks without seeing them. And the only time I see them is by accident when we're walking outside.
I know.
We have our own amenities. We have our own kitchen, bathroom, everything.
Remember, I used to own a 3-family home in New York, so I understand
Okay,
how
so
it
I don't
works.
understand.
But this is also the other issue, right? This is not Big Love, and this is not Utah, and they are not Mormons, where the dude got the 3 houses next door, one big backyard, where they all coincide in the backyard, and they go from house to house in the backyard where can't nobody see them. My thing is,
But if they're having that many wives,
in that situation, you never saw that TV show?
Yasmin, I am so with you.
Because God knows I don't want nothing. Because this is what I'm saying. Baby daddy number 3 probably got cheated on with baby daddy number 4.
okay.
Baby daddy number 5 may not like how baby daddy number 2 handle his business and how they talk to each other. So my thing is, they can live in close proximity. They can live where the children can still come and see the father. The father will be required to keep a job and to be able to have at least a 2-bedroom apartment where the child has a room, they have clothes. So if the child left his mama house and went to his dad's house and left dad's house to go to school, then there is the child, I don't have to bring clothes. I can get dressed here and I can fall out to school. If that
I
makes
get
sense.
I get what you're saying wholeheartedly, and I understand what you're saying. However, if you think that these men are going to be cordial, living in close proximity, it doesn't matter whether we live on the same block or we live in the same apartment complex. At the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about the children. And it would be financially easier, especially in this world, If you made this bad decision, these are obviously 5 men you made this decision with. You should be able to deal with all 5 of them. But I literally do not see my mother-in-law unless I'm seeing her on the Ring camera. I haven't seen her in 2 weeks. You
Hey,
don't have
Tam.
to see these people. We have a front exit and a back exit.
Okay,
And if
so
you don't like baby daddy number 3, tell him to use the front. You use the back. Y'all don't see each other.
okay, so I'm gonna say this. Let me say this. From a
I
man's
don't think y'all are
standpoint,
thinking of it.
no, from a man's standpoint, from a male standpoint, most men can get along.
So why you can't live in the family 5?
The question becomes, how have I, as a man, moved on?
That's crazy.
What else am I responsible for? Have I moved on and got married? Have I moved on? What is my financial status? Because your financial status may not be like my financial status. And if I have to live in the same proximity, the question becomes, if I can afford to live in Manhattan, why can't y'all move to Manhattan?
I mean, if we all split in this one thing 5 ways, we could all afford to live in Manhattan. And you know what? I like my way better than yours because I'm thinking of what's best for the children. My kids don't have to be separated. One kid doesn't have to go. Well, I'm going to use the Bronx for a reference because that's all I know. One kid doesn't have to go to 221st, 233rd, 241st. Nobody has to do all of that. You want to go see your daddy? Walk upstairs. You want to go see your daddy? You walk upstairs.
So
Y'all want to go see everybody daddy? Figure it out.
So let me ask this question. So let me ask this question. How do we stop you having 8, 9 baby daddies to begin with?
Well, in your society, how it worked was you had to get married first. So that's obviously how you prevent it
Or
slightly because women still cheat or men will still cheat.
so let me ask this question. So in our modern society right now, in the United States of America, where we are,
Uh-huh.
what if we
Mama Q's laughing too hard for me.
how about we cut out all these social services?
But then how you gonna eat if you're not gonna be a family of 5?
You gotta go get your job.
You
Because-
just said the women couldn't work.
I'm talking about the men. If you
Well,
cut
it's
out,
5 of them. She should be just fine.
it's 5 of them. You're absolutely right. Based on this scenario, you're right. She should be great. So let me ask you this question.
Anthony
There's a-
has something to say.
It's a three family level. If she got 5 baby daddies, that means 2
Say
of them
what you
gonna have
gotta
to,
say, Des.
2 of them gonna have to stay together.
Nah, no. See, you not listening. No. You obviously gotta get than 3 family levels. I have 3. You gotta get 4, and somebody gotta sleep in the one with the least responsibilities go in the basement. Because we got a basement downstairs. We could fully furnish it and somebody could live down there, but why would you?
Y'all know y'all are talking about as close to a utopian world as you can get. Y'all do realize that, right? Because this is a bunch of.
I'm just saying. Listen, if the liberals can have a utopia world where there are no
Why can't
billionaires,
we?
right? They don't want no billionaires. They want everybody gay. They want people with pink, yellow, blue hair, and me and Steve ain't got no hair, right?
I'm just trying to understand.
So
I'm
Stevie
thinking
Steve, we
of the
supposed to just walk
society-
around with pink, purple, and green bald heads? I don't understand what's going on in society right now. So if
I'm thinking of us right now. Us as a society right now. If we decided to implement what Mr. Jackson has said, you have to find a solution for these people. I know one. And the only solution I could think of is they gotta live together.
so how about this?
Okay, so wait. Because if we're talking about the world that we live in right now and we put them people in a house together,
That's
we gonna
dangerous.
have people coming out in body bags.
Right. So how about we let those
Would that give her
women-
only one husband?
So how about this? So how about he said tattoo our heads. So how about this? How about because Yasmin said it should be an option. So now with that being
That's
said,
what we have now.
so yeah, so based on what we got now, right?
This man took us in
If you
circles
got
just to go back to the
if you
beginning.
got 5, 6 baby daddies, then you need to go to work. They need to go.
She need to go to work? I feel like if I had 5, I don't have 5, but if I had 5, I would never work a day in my life.
So okay, so you have a point, Allure.
Hi, Kevin.
Okay, so here.
Kev.
Hey, Kev.
Unhealthy
So
childhood.
here's the. Y'all got a lot going on right now. My mind is all over the place. But
Desi said she had a question and never said anything
So
again.
where's your question, Des?
So wait, hold on. Wait. You just made me forget. What'd you just say, Allure? Dang.
that she would never have to work
I
if
would
she
never
had
Okay,
have
five
so
to work
babies.
if I
yeah,
had
if
5.
you have 5 kids,
No, 5 baby daddies.
Okay, so
that don't
wait,
mean,
wait,
that don't mean I
wait.
only have 5 kids.
right? But I'm about to say, okay, so if I'm a mama, and I have 5 baby daddies, that means I have 5 kids.
You might have
Unless you had
4.
twins. Or you could have multiples with one baby daddy.
Right.
But that still means I have 5 kids, y'all.
Right, but what
No,
I'm saying is, I
if
know
I
some
had
women
twins-
who got 2 men claiming the same baby. So that's why I said you could have 5 kids and
No,
7
I
baby
don't,
daddies.
I don't agree with
Okay,
that.
so what
No.
we not gonna do? I don't know what y'all was doing before I got here,
No, I
but
don't
we
know
not
what
finna
you're
make
talking
this
about.
complicated.
5 men.
No,
You got
I'm
5 different
saying-
men, 5 babies.
Right.
Right.
So if I got 5 children and all of the men are going to work, me as mom
Right.
should not be on any assistance because all of the men should be doing their part.
I agree.
So you shouldn't get no assistance? Like, what do you mean no assistance?
If all of the
Government-
men are doing their parts to take care of the kids, then I shouldn't need no assistance.
I'm glad you said that. So based on
Desney
me,
responded, guys. Just FYI.
got
Okay,
you.
we gonna get
We'ma
you,
get to
Desney.
Desney.
But
So-
I need to get to my point.
Get to your point.
All right. So that means I don't need assistance.
Right.
And having 5 children, I would need to be at home. Because this now gets to that point that we were talking about yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, with the kids being neglected.
Right.
Because I'm stretched thin because I got 5 kids. I'm trying to work to take care of these kids, and who's raising them? So the idea of the men being able to go to work and me as a mama of 5 being able to be here and give these kids, because you asked me, that was yesterday, you asked me what was the difference between me and my singlehood raising my kids than others. And like I said, one of the biggest thing is giving my children the attention
That they needed.
that they needed.
So, with that being said, when I asked all my questions and did all of my things yesterday, the number one thing it always went back to was it will cut out social programming
It definitely would.
because
Well,
the women would be home. It would slow it. It would eventually cut it because the economy would begin to adjust for men only working. The market will begin to adjust itself, if that makes sense. So the housings would begin to adjust itself. Car industry would adjust itself. Groceries, spending, how you spend, how you budget.
well, that would depend.
No, the market will adjust
But
itself.
the reason I say that is because it really depends on if the man is making enough to support the household.
And that's the thing. So this is also one of the keys. Again, because men are built in a competitive nature and the market understands that, even if the market crashes, it has been proven and shown in itself that it knows how to readjust itself for where it is. And also, again, statistically shown that when men begin to go into certain markets, the value of that market begins to increase. Also, just in what me and the Lord was saying, hey Prophet Miller,
Prophet Miller.
what me and just going back to the foundation, it has also shown in other countries that this has worked to a degree where crime has went down. More father attention is the intentionality that you're talking about the kids have. There's more discipline in the schools. The economy begins to balance itself out. We don't have to spend so much on, I'm not saying that we're cutting social programs completely. We just don't have to spend so much on social programming because the economy would readjust itself based on where we are.
So Des,
I was going to say, and to go to Des' question,
it wasn't a question. She made a statement.
she made the statement of we have to stop thinking that the laws and tradition of men can help us and save us when the issue is sin. While that they're helpful, it doesn't stop the sinful nature of men. Now, based on our utopia in the beginning, I made the statement that these were God-fearing men. These are men who these are men, and I'm putting it out that way not to expand. So for example, how they want to so
hold on. Hold on before you get into that. Because her statement, I heard a guy say yesterday, and I wish I had I was trying to actually send the reel to us, but he said most people are broke because of sin.
right, that's the truth. Every it's been a proven fact that every impoverished country does not have Jesus or the God of the Bible as a foundation in that country. That's a proven fact worldwide. That wherever there's no
God,
no Jesus, the country is impoverished. Poverty, Proverbs makes it very clear. Poverty is a sin.
Yes.
Because it's caused by certain things: laziness, slothfulness, greed. So
Gluttony.
sin is the underlining for poverty. Now, when we was talking about this, we were speaking of this from godly men stepping in. And as we was going to come to a close, I wanted to, or before we land the plane, I wanted to be able to set this up to show that they're trying to build a full Muslim community in
Texas.
in Texas. Okay. Oh my God, I can't remember where it is. But the Muslims have taken over. It's here in America, in Minneapolis. Brussels.
I don't know nothing about Minneapolis, but okay.
So now the police department has the Arabic on their badges.
I hope y'all are paying attention.
Is I can't think of the name of the city, but I think it's in Minneapolis, where Human, whatever the crazy little girl name in Congress is. So they didn't put Spanish on there.
I pray y'all are paying.
I can understand Spanish. I can even understand Mandarin. But they are.
It's in Detroit, Michigan.
It's in Detroit?
That's what it says here.
Okay. So they have now put Arabic on the patches of the police department. So now when my daughter asks me about what do I think about going back to the traditional way, my first thing was, what if we can build what we call the test city? So for example, my mom is about to go take over a whole city in South Georgia. They have rolled out the red carpet. She's going to take over this whole city. What happens when her light begins to move and the light of Christ that's in her begin to move in the thought process and in the men of rebuilding that city? When I think about Dawsonville and how the algorithm on Google has changed from moonshine and NASCAR to healing, baptism, and the outlets, when you Google Dawsonville, that now Christ Fellowship is almost the first thing that pops up instead of moonshine and racing. So what happens when we really are not depending on laws and traditions? My thing is, what happens when we bring what God truly what God really built in the beginning back into an area? How will it flourish if godly men wrote the law? How would it flourish if godly men were the doctors, the teachers, the caregivers? How will it look to young men? Would we really, if we was truly standing on what God and standing on his word and his principle, would we really come home and beat our women? Would we really have the true pressure of the world? Will we really have those things?
Can I respond to your question or
We
statement?
have to stop thinking that these laws and tradition of men can help us. Yes.
I think the problem with your idea is the problem of godly men. In order to find godly men, you have to truly look for them. And it's not to say that there aren't many. It's just to say that they aren't the loudest. And that's usually what transpires in our society. In our society, it's not that everyone is LGBTQ+, but they're the loudest. It's not that everyone in our society commits adultery. It's just that they're the loudest. So it's the people who commit the sins and who are bold and proud about them that are the loudest. So now it comes a point of, okay, well, with godly men, how can they become the loudest? How can they shift the culture to be like, no, we're the voice of reason, we're the voice of men. Because you have men that are considered, what is that thing called? Alpha males and beta males.
Yeah,
They're
alpha male,
louder
beta
than
male.
godly men. And a lot of them don't exhibit godly men qualities because a godly man wouldn't tell you to sleep around. So it goes back to your statement for if this system that we designed would have to work, it would have to mean that godly men would have to put down their fear and pick up their Bible. Because at the end of the day, there's no way that we're going to sit there and be like, oh, yeah, let the men take over. We tried that. And obviously, that's the reason why there are women in a lot of places like schools, hospitals, HR departments, because there's obviously not a lot of godly men who are loud enough to be like, I believe in Jesus. I'm loud. I'm proud. I'm boastful about it. And I'm going to show you how to lead correctly. Those men are in their home. Yes. Those men are with their children. They are raising godly men to come up, but they're not what we see online. They're
Right.
not what we see out loud. They're not outside letting people know, like, this is not the way, this is not the truth. So at that point, it's not only, oh, well, this is a society that we want to work. It's no, well, if godly men want to lead, if godly men want to be the head, if godly men want to be this umbrella, as we said last time, then they need to start being that. They need to start being the voice and being louder. So it's not a matter of whether it could work. It's a matter of these men are not doing what they're supposed to.
And I
So where
agree.
do you go from there?
So this is how I know that you're my child, because I
I'm
asked,
Mama Q's child.
because I asked that same question last night when I was putting this together. I was like, so how could this be? How? And that was the answer. That godly men will have to begin to take their place. Godly men have to stop. My wife hates when I use this word.
So don't use it.
Sissified
Thank you.
and stand up, because Johnny Cash said something very, actually, I want to pull up exactly. I don't know if y'all know who Johnny Cash is, but
You
Johnny
do.
Cash is
So you'll tell us.
an old singer. I'm gonna pull up what Johnny Cash said about being a Christian.
When you look online, all I see are Christian women,
And Johnny
Christian
Cash
mamas.
viewed Christians as requiring current strength. He had a quote.
Okay. You're still looking.
He emphasized that Christians was not for the broken outcast. No, that's not the one I'm looking for.
So while
You
you're
got us both
looking,
Why you
looking
looking
at you
for
in the
that?
same direction.
what you say, baby girl?
I said he got us both looking at him confused because I don't know if he want me to continue while he looking or
Oh, he said being a Christian isn't for sissies. It takes a real man to live for God. A lot more man. It takes a lot more man than to live for the devil. He believed that living a Christian life requires strength, grit, and conviction, a greater form of courage than succumbing to the world's temptations. He said,
Succumbing.
they're
succumbing.
coming.
He
Okay.
said that being a Christian isn't for sissies.
So let me interject right here, because with what Allure said, she's on point. Because
Thanks,
what a
Mama.
lot of people miss, you're welcome, baby. What a lot of people miss is that if men were actually standing up in their place as the head, then it wouldn't be so many women having to step up and do the job that men were given
I agree.
as being sent out. So, with what you just said, Christians being a Christian, you can't be no punk and be a Christian.
No.
You cannot. And for me, and this is just, y'all know, I'm gonna give y'all my disclaimer. This me. This is my opinion. Women can endure a lot more than men are willing to. Hear me when I say that. Women can endure a lot more than men are willing to. So we have men who say they're Christians until stuff hit the fan. Women will bear the grunt and ride it. They will be God's ride or die. And we have some men also. But when things hit the fan, like we know that in this world, life is life, and whether you with God or without God. I was just talking to a friend, and she was saying that this particular man grew up in church. His grandparents were pastors. His parents were in the church. He was in the church. He got married, and one of his sons ended up in jail, and the other one died. After that happened, he turned into a Hebrew Israelite. Why? But a woman, she gonna stay with God and ride it out with God. She gonna ride the wave with God. And a lot of men end up switching because at that point it's like, what God you talking about? Why he allowing me to go through this? Why did my child have to die? And I agree with you. Why did your child have to die? But it don't change who God is or who he has been or who he's going to be. So there is some why he allowing me.
All that. And I was praying at the same time, so I just let
Okay,
you.
we
Sorry about
back.
that.
That's because we lost connection. So there's this disconnect, and I don't know what I look at. I don't know if it's because people aren't seeing the real walk with God, and they see all of the fakeness, all of our mouths say one thing, but our hearts
Do something different.
are somewhere else. And because of that, that's the representation that you're giving of God. So now there's no real reverence or even faith being taught in God, because I think about all the stuff that I've been through, and just me thinking about my life and all the stuff that I've been through. When I tell people like my real for real story, they look at, mouths are like, you lived through that? Like, you that's your story for real? Like, you don't even understand. And even now when I tell people my story and they hear it, it's like, you don't understand what you've lived through. Most people can't deal with that. But it was my faith in God. And my faith in God came from me seeing a woman who walked out the word for real. So I don't know if that makes the difference, Because I also saw the other side with people who mouth spoke God, but their actions, which means their hearts, were somewhere totally on the other side.
Amen.
So I don't know if like that causes the disconnect, but somewhere we got to get back to our hearts got to get back to God. Like we got to understand him. We got to know him in every part, every facet of his personality. We got to know his character. If we don't understand the God that we serve, how can we truly trust him? How can a man, a masculine man, understand a God that he does not see or believe in and don't see a representation of him? And it's one thing to hear about him, and it's something else when I'm reading this Bible to learn about this God, but it's something different when I got to actually create a relationship. I got to know that I can, and it is an option, and it is possible to have and create and cultivate this reality, this real relationship with this intangible God. And I think that's the problem. That's the problem. They don't see, they can't fathom this real God because we've made him into this fantasy.
Right.
We've diminished him to words. And I'm not talking about good words. I'm talking about words that hold no weight. I can blow it and it disappears into air. We've turned him into this magical sense, reducing him to this power that we can just conjure up. The devil is a liar. And because the church is, as you said, sissified, it don't hold no power, don't hold no weight. When we say that we serve a real God who is all powerful, who is almighty, who holds the world in his hand, who created the heavens and the earth and everything above it and beneath it, they looking at us like, yeah, but there are many of them. The devil is a liar. We've made him this option. And there's these optionable choices of who God is. What the world? And that's our fault. People read the Bible and don't believe it. Why are you reading it then? And then I'm going to tell you what I don't believe and tell you you should believe it. And then you looking crazy at me because I'm standing on what I'm saying, but my actions is what's telling you I really don't believe what I'm saying. It is crazy. And that's why we have a world full of men that have fallen away.
I definitely agree.
That was beautiful.
It's also another underlining piece to that. The other underlining piece was they stopped pulling men into back into the church.
Well, the question then becomes, okay, even what you said, they stopped pulling men back into the church. If men were already solid in the church, they wouldn't have had to start pulling them back.
Right. So, well, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of people left. So when you go back and you start looking at the timeline, especially in our community, our timeline shifted in the 60s. And then by the 70s, we had the Panthers, the African movement, the black people this, black people that. Then that movement became more president over the church. And that movement began to pull more on the men. And then by the time the 80s came, then at the mid 70s and the 80s, the crack came in. And then now we had a society that didn't really believe in what grandma and granddaddy did, because then it became, oh, well, you just giving your money away and we're still poor and we're still impoverished. And now that has moved out into pretty much where we are now.
Okay, but the root, it goes back to where you said it was, they brought in the Black Panthers. But it was because they saw the power in it.
They saw power, and I was going to say, we stopped seeing the power
Absolutely.
in the American church.
That's it right there.
World, nationwide around the 60s. And that's in white churches, black churches, blue churches. It didn't matter. Now you still had your sprinkle. Because when I go back and I read the generals, I was like, some of these people were still doing this stuff all the way up to 2005. When the couple passed away, or the husband of one of the couple passed away in like 2025, not 25, but 2005. So you had your sprinkles, but the people who were out in the front began to shift the narrative to other things. And then we had, like Pastor Todd would say, they had the push on, okay, so church is too long, this is boring, we have to do this, you got to change that. And a lot of the other churches did that. And then when it came down to us, it became, they stopped doing the men thing, and then they realized that women, as Allure alluded to earlier, and how we got here, is that women are the biggest spender. So then church became more geared to being able to pull on the strings and the uplifting of women, because you will come to a conference, you'll buy all the books, you'll buy all the t-shirts.
Well, you're absolutely correct, but it still goes back to men had already shifted.
Right. Men,
and that's because, again, there was no power.
Right. But also
we started being watered down then. Men are drawn to dominance
and power. Right.
So when we start diminishing God and start, like you said, exalting all this other stuff above him, and they're seeing the outcome. Men are visual. They're seeing the outcome. They're seeing, hey, that over there, that right there, that's working. Whereas with God, if you're not taught that you got to carry this thing out, God has the same power.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I wholeheartedly want to say, first, I agree with Mama Q. Second, I want to say, while we're all like listening and watching and whatnot, what do you guys feel like are tangible things that, one, us women, for Mama Q, for you, and two, men, Anthony, for you, obviously, could do to bring back that fear, realism, and love and truth about God, like as individuals, because it starts with us. So if we exhibit that change, whether it be the 3 + 6 would be 9, the 9 of us watching right now, we're all in different towns, different cities, different states, whatever. How can we all start to be like, this is how you love God. This is the correct way to love God. This is how people need to show God. How can we do that for each other and for ourselves?
I am going to continue to go back to, we have to be the hands and feet of God. In the times that we are in, people don't care nothing about a God when their needs are not being met. You want to get people to listen to you and hear about your God? Give somebody that don't have no food some food. They need clothes. They need shelter. They need, if you start showing them that you truly, genuinely care about them, they don't see you as you're ministering through your work. They begin to see the God in you because they begin to see your heart. And they begin to see what you're saying. But the first thing you got to do is show them that you care. You got to show them that you care. Because if you start showing them that you care, and I think this is the part that most people miss. This is where we can see it in the kids, but the adults are in the same place. That's why we have so many adults that are adults because of their age. But if you get to the bottom of why they act the way that they do, why are they addicts? Why are they whores? Why are they doing what they're doing? Because they've been neglected, they've been rejected, and they feel like nobody if you talk to them, they will tell you nobody cares about me. You want to change people's hearts, and some of them you're gonna have to push. You're going to have to force your love on them because they've been without it for so long. They truly, genuine, don't trust nobody and don't believe that they're even worth the love or the care. So when we start turning and doing for people and come out of this selfish place where everything is all about me and mine and my house, then we'll have an opportunity to change what the world looks like. Then they'll be willing to hear about this God that you serve because you look different, because you've treated them differently, and you've not done what everybody else did, which was turn your nose up at them and walk by them as if they don't even exist.
We're taking up an offering.
Mr. Jackson.
So, I agree with.
I know no one can come after that.
Yeah, that's
but
I
don't know what to say after that. We can just wrap the show up right there.
Right, that's why I said we
can
just. That's why I said we can take up offering right now. Ain't no use me saying anything. I think that one is wholeheartedly. Before a person can get there, we also need to be able to have a relationship. We have to understand a couple of things. We're not in a religion. We're not Muslims. We're not Catholics. We're not Hindus. We're not Buddhists. We're not a religion. This walk with Christ, this is a lifestyle. Christ didn't come to give us a religion. He came to give us a kingdom. He came to restore us back to our rightful place. We have to, also begin to make sure that a lot of people, my wife made this clear, we can show people that you care about them before they begin to care about the things that you care about. The question is, do you care about the thing that you care about? Do you truly believe everything that's written in the Word of God? Are you really willing to submit to Christ? Because you have to be able to change in order to be a change agent. You can't be crying 1 minute, oh, I don't know what I'm going through, and then the next minute you calling for prayer. Because no, if you're going to stand on it, stand on it. If you're going to stand on it, stand on it. Stop trying to straddle the fence. Stop. If you in, come on in and deal with your stuff. Come in and handle the business that you need to handle and getting yourself right. I was talking to the young lady who came here yesterday, and I explained to her, she was talking about let your light shine. A lot of Christians don't want to die. Your light can't shine if you are alive. Jesus put light, the light of your eyes, you being a light on the hill, and salt and darkness in the same breath in 5 verses back to back to back. You're supposed to be a light on the hill. Nobody lights a candle and stick it under the bushel. They put it on top so that everybody got light so we all can see. You're supposed to be the salt of the world. And then if your eyes are dark, your body is dark. But if your eyes have light, then your body has light. So now where we going? If you don't die, remember Jesus said you have to pick up your cross and carry it. He said you got to carry your cross before he went to the cross. Jesus didn't tell you to carry your cross after he died. He told you to carry your cross before he died. Salt in the Old Testament, what Jesus is talking about, that a first century Jew would have understood standing on when he was on the mount preaching this, was that they have to be a sacrifice, because salt was used to cover the sacrifices. If you didn't have no salt, you couldn't come to bring your sacrifice. If you always worrying about the darkness, you would never be able to walk in the light. One of the greatest problems I feel we have in the church is we concentrate so much on the enemy that we can talk about the devil all day, but when it comes time to talk about Christ, we quiet. We are quiet. We don't talk about the light, but we gossip all day. As the young lady told me yesterday, we become Christian newscasters as opposed of evangelists. Jesus never told us to go out here and talk about the enemy. We supposed to go out. Even the gospel that the disciples preached was about him from the Old Testament. Who he was, why he was coming, and now he is here. The kingdom has come. What kingdom? The kingdom that Jeremiah spoke about, Ezekiel spoke about. The healing that you're supposed to get in this covenant has arrived. It is here. If we begin to move in the light in which we were called, if men were to take their rightful place, as my wife said earlier, we would start at home. So when my wife does leave, she leaves with that light I'm supposed to have. When my sons leave up out of here, they leave with that light where they go. My daughters leave with the light because it has been instilled in them. And then it goes out into the community. And then if we are all in the community trying to share the light of Christ, then it trickles where we go. And if we are not such sissies, we will be able to consult the Lord before we write legislation. We will consult the Lord before we do movies. We will consult before we go out and make decisions and do certain things, because we will allow him to be the king that he has been asking us to be since we fell in the garden. We have to stop being afraid. We have to stop being afraid. Jesus said, I give you the power and authority over the enemy. He's already a defeated foe. Like I said the other day, what do you tell a man with 2 black eyes? Nothing. He already been told twice. We have to take our place in society. We have to.
And the only way that happens is, like you said, death to our flesh.
We gotta die. We gotta die. Don't be afraid to die. The Bible tells you to die daily. You have to die. Your light can't be seen if you are alive. If you are trying to outlive it and do it, the light can't be seen. You have to die in order for the light to be seen. You have to be able to truly walk after the Spirit. You have to kill the flesh. You cannot be afraid to talk to your flesh. You cannot be afraid to say, we're not going that way, we're going this way.
All right. So to sum that up.
To sum this up, you got to allow Christ to be first in your life.
If we get us right first and get the relationship, then we can go out and spread the same love from the relationship that we've received. Then we can do as the word says and create more disciples and send them out to do the same thing. But everything starts with the love of Christ.
The future looks bright.
If you aren't right with Christ, you can't make an impact the right way. It's not going to be a lasting impact. Because you can make an impact for a short amount of time. But the moment that something happens with you, because when you're outside of God, you will look like you will be the one that begins to be exalted. And the moment you fall, everybody that was exalting you will now fall with you. So, lead everybody back to Christ. He gets the glory. So even when you fall, they're still looking at him and not you.
Right.
So I think that's it.
Yep. And
That was great.
And before we get out of here, why
are you doing all that?
I just want to say a quick prayer for Charlie Kirk. They just shot him.
In the neck.
Huh?
In the neck.
Yeah, in the neck.
Okay.
So, Father, we lift up Charlie Kirk, who is one of your servants, one of your evangelists. Even though he goes out to different college campuses and speak politics, but he always, always, always lead people to you. He always preaches about you. He always evangelizes who you are. So, Father, I ask that you keep him. Allow him to pull through. Give his family strength. Cover his children in this moment, Father. We thank you for the work that he has done already. And Father, we ask that you allow him to come back and do mighty, mighty works and not allow this to deter him from still moving for you, how he moves for you, Father. That the enemy always wants to take out those that you have pushed to the forefront to do your work. Allow us as the body and as men come together and pray for him. Allow us also not to be afraid to do your work because evil is in the world. Because the more of your work we do, Father, the more we can combat evil and the more that you can prevail and we can run out darkness. But Father, we cover him with the blood of Jesus. We believe in your mighty healing based on your word. For those who are willing and able, for those who obey you, for those who love you, Father, healing is their portion. He is your son, and we thank you for him, and we thank you that his healing can take place and he has rapid recovery. But we also, Father, ask that your will be done. And your will is healing. Your will is your name being lifted up. So cover his wife, his children, Father. Cover Turning Point USA, cover his business and his company, Father, and give them strength in this time and allow them to come together in prayer and allow us to, as the body, to stop bickering and come together finally and to pray for your son, Charlie Kirk. So, Father, all these things we ask of you in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And amen. So we thank y'all. Allure. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Sugar Plum.
Steve said we should give her a seat. Steve has elected that you have a seat.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said she was going to send us an invoice.
No, not you, Mama Q. Not you.
Make sure
Mr.
you
Jackson.
make it out to CJ Consulting. And not Anthony.
I don't know
Media.
that.
So
I'm sending it to Anthony Media LLC.
yeah, we just want to say thank y'all. We love y'all. We hope y'all got something out of this. Please, as always, give us a thumbs
Desiree
up.
says she want to join next.
You next. All right. Not a problem.
Without guest speakers.
Gotcha. So give us a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Share this with somebody who needs to hear this. And maybe we can move forward to going back to traditional well-being and traditional living, allowing God.
Steve said it best. We way too late to go back now. All right. Love y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
That's bad business.